Texas at Arkansas. Arkansas is a 13.5-point home dog. Over under set at a whopping 57.5 in this one. Can Texas go on the road and take care of an Arkansas team that offensively has been statistically very, very good this season, Mason? I mean, they have been very good. The bugaboo for this Arkansas Razorbacks team this year, and really something that has been indicative of either a win or a loss in whatever game you want to point at, is turnovers. This Arkansas team, when they don't turn the ball over, they're very hard to beat. Very, very hard to beat. I think Texas matches up well, though, with this defense. Let's kind of jump into this thing. As we said, Texas is the big favorite here going on the road. This game is going to be at noon, so I think that helps Texas out a little bit. Here's the deal. Arkansas has been pretty doggone good against the run this season, Mason. And we'll kind of go over the Arkansas stats and work our way back to that slide. But if you look defensively for Arkansas, they've been really, really good against the run this season, right? Rush yards per carry allowed 3.58. Yards per game allowed rushing 121.22. That's 36, 29th. Opponent rush plays of 10-plus yards. This surprised me, Mason. Opponent rush plays of 10-plus yards this season, only 23 have been given up. That's second in the country this season for an Arkansas defense. But here's the problem. It's the pass yards per game allowed and just the passing stats allowed in general by this defense that's been a real bugaboo for this Arkansas defense as a whole. And lo and behold, that kind of fits right into what Texas is looking to do in this football game. So I think that's kind of where you get almost a 2-touchdown spread here. Like I said, defensively, Arkansas is good against the run. I don't think Texas is great at running the football. I just don't think. I think they're another one of those SEC teams. You can name Georgia, right? You can name Ole Miss, and you can name Texas. None of those three teams, while they are still considered contenders, none of those three teams are very good at running the football. And Arkansas has got a good starting defensive line. So Arkansas has got the makings defensively to take something away from this Texas offense, which is the first ingredient to being able to beat a team that's better than you, is to try to make them one-dimensional. And I think Arkansas is going to be able to do that. Now, is that enough in this game? I don't think it's going to be enough, Mason. I don't think that is enough. I think Arkansas has got to get a turnover or two off of Quinn Ewers and this Texas offense. And in turn, offensively for Arkansas, we'll kind of transition to them offensively. You can't turn the football over. We just mentioned that. It's been really bad. 90th in offensive turnovers this season. They've given up 15, right? And 7 of those have been interceptions, which 7 interceptions is not really a lot for this point in the season. So it's really not the interceptions. They've lost 8 fumbles. 8 fumbles. And I think that has a lot to do with the sacks that are being allowed. Because if you want to look at offensively for Arkansas, look at the stats. I mean, they're awesome. 33rd, 32nd, 30th, 11th, 11th, 13th, 30th, 6th, 12th. And then you get down to sacks allowed and tackles for loss allowed, 106th and 105th. There's where a lot of the fumbles are coming from, my friend. People sneaking around the edge of this offensive line and knocking the football right out of the quarterback's hands. That's been a problem. And Texas is also very good rushing off the edge. Now, they don't have the most sacks in the country or anything like that, but they are good at getting pressure. And I do like the edges for Texas to be able to provide some of that pressure in this game. We'll see how Arkansas is able to combat that. They like to run the football with the quarterback. They like the read option, things like that. So we'll see how they kind of combat some of that pressure coming off the edge and see if they can maybe keep some of those defenders at bay. Texas has not been as good offensively, I think, as what a lot of people thought they'd be this season, Mason. Now, is that to say that this has been a bad Texas offense? I'm not saying that. But after what we saw last year, I think a lot of people thought coming into this 2024 season that Steve Sarkisian would take another leap forward offensively. And I don't know that that's happened. And I don't know that would have been fair to expect that considering the issues that this team has had keeping running backs healthy, right? CJ Baxter was supposed to be that dude going into the 2024 season for this run attack, and he's obviously hurt before you're able to really get going. So that's kind of one aspect of it, and then you lose some unbelievable wide receivers from last year that go off to the NFL. So I think it was really unfair to sit and think that this offense was going to be better. And that's not even to mention the fact that this team transitioned from the Big 12 to the SEC. Texas fans, you let me know in the comment section now. I mean, it's night and day difference, right? And I think some of the step down and some of the numbers and things like that from last year offensively for Texas has got a lot to do with the fact that they're playing some of the best defenses in the country week in and week out. Now, Texas kind of lucked up. The schedule hasn't been that tough, other than the Georgia game in which you lose by 15 there, and that's one of the defenses that I'm kind of talking about. Um, Passing the ball is where Texas has got a huge advantage in this one. Passing game's going to have to be on, right? And I think it will be, and I think you're going to have opportunities for these wide receivers to eat. Defensively is where Texas has gotten so much better this year, Mason. They're so much better in the secondary. It's not even funny. Now, have they played unbelievable passing offenses all season? I wouldn't say so. Okay, I wouldn't say so. But I have two eyeballs in my head that both of them work exceptionally well. And I see what the secondary is. This is a different looking defense than what we saw last year from Texas. Last year, the front end was really strong. Sweat and Murphy there on that defensive line allowed less than 100 yards rushing every week, right? I don't know that they allowed over 100 yards rushing hardly at all last year. This defense is built differently. It's the back end that's so damn strong. Steve Kwiatkowski has done a great job addressing the issues in that secondary, bringing in a guy like Andrew Makuba over from Clemson, who was at one point a freshman All-American, right? And I think that this secondary is the real deal. I really do. They're ball hawks. They're the real deal. I think the linebacker room is pretty doggone good. I think Anthony Hill is exceptional. I think everybody else around him is pretty good. And then, I think the weakness of this defense for Texas, if there is one, is the middle of that defensive line. Is Arkansas able to exploit that? Arkansas is not a team that runs up the middle a ton necessarily, but I think that that's a point of attack that maybe Arkansas can get a little bit of leverage there. Now that I've kind of went through both of these teams, kind of give me your thoughts on this game. What are the keys to victory for each of these teams heading into this one? I think we named probably the number one thing, and that's protecting the football. Arkansas's got to do that first and foremost. Otherwise, they don't stand a damn chance. We've seen it time and time again, huh?
Well, yeah, and as bad as Arkansas has been at protecting the football, Texas has been giving it up equally as much. They're 114th in the country in fumbles, allowing almost one fumble per game, and similarly, almost one interception per game. That puts them at 87th in the country. So, that's not a stat that I think many people pay attention to for Texas. They don't. It doesn't get as much focus because they're winning, and outside of the one ranked matchup that they had that they lost, they've been able to beat up on some unranked opponents. And to me, that's the biggest question for Texas is who have you played, and how can we use some sort of deductive reasoning based on who you've played, because I think that Arkansas has had a much tougher schedule, and they've played some opponents really close. I mean, they beat Tennessee. If you're telling me that Arkansas can beat Tennessee, I'm telling you they can beat Texas. Nobody's saying that this game is going to be an absolute blowout, or maybe Texas fans are saying that. I don't know. You tell me in the
Of
comment
course they are.
section. But I think that this is kind of a head scratching game. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to get out of Texas. I saw them schematically have an absolutely phenomenal game against Florida last week, in particular in that first half. But it seemed like everything was clicking for them. They kind of got back on the same page coming off of a bye week, and the timing was just excellent on offense, and they did a really good job on defense. But going up against Florida, that's not really saying much. Their offense is absolutely putrid right now, especially without DJ Lagway. This is not going to be a Florida offense that you're facing. I really like what Arkansas does. They have a very balanced game plan. Both of their running backs are going to be healthy for this football game. I like Russell and as a big thumper. Jaquindon Jackson, I think, is as close to healthy as we've seen him since he's gone down from the injury, and he is a dynamic player as well at running back. Can they get the running game involved in effective in this football game? That, to me, that's a big question, because the defense for Texas is phenomenal. They can or I should say the secondary for Texas is phenomenal. They can turn the ball over on you. They play really tight coverage. You'll see some coverage sacks from Texas from time to time. They do a really good job, but this is a pretty good wide receiver unit for Arkansas as well. I like Armstrong a lot. I think that he presents a problem for opposing defenses, and just all in all, because of how balanced they play and because of the threat for Green to be able to run, I think it puts a lot of stress on defenses, not to mention Petrino's ability to call a great offensive game plan. It's pretty impressive to watch. If you haven't seen Arkansas play this season, they are very fun to watch on offense, and I could see this being a shootout. Having this game being played at Arkansas, I think gives the Hogs a huge advantage. This is a rivalry game for both teams, but probably more so for Arkansas, and they would want nothing more than to spoil the Texas's chances at an SEC championship or something like that in this football game, potentially even a playoff berth when it's all said and done. And I think that they present a good enough challenge for Texas to be able to do that. My concern is Texas going up against Arkansas's defense. Arkansas's defense has been pretty good. It's not their strongest side of the ball, that's for sure. They're kind of middle of the pack for an SEC defense, and in a conference that is just playing elite defense. For the most part, on average, it's playing really good defense. But I like Jackson coming off the edge. He's probably a first or second round draft pick coming off the edge there. He does a really good job for them defensively. I like some of the secondary players that they have. I like Metcalf. I think he does a great job. They really play the run pretty well. It sounds like, based on what Sark said in his press conference, it sounds like Jarrett Gibson is kind of getting back and getting more involved in the game plan. Does he get more involved? He's a pretty dynamic freshman running back there. So does Texas get more involved in the run game in this one? Honestly, looking at both sides of this here, I think whoever runs the ball more could end up winning this football game. Whoever runs the ball more effectively could win this football game, and I like Arkansas to be able to do that with their two backs. I don't know, man. Like I said, this is a head scratching matchup for me. I'll go ahead and tell you, I definitely like Arkansas to cover here. I think that Arkansas is more tested in these big matchups than Texas is at this point in the season. We saw Texas get their first big matchup against Georgia, and Georgia just freaking hit them right in the mouth from the word go. As soon as the whistle was blown, Georgia just had an onslaught, really a strong defensive performance from them, and won them the football game. I could see the same thing happening in this football game, except with Arkansas on offense being able to put up some points early and extend drives and put the stress on the Texas defense. That's how Arkansas is going to win this football game. They got to get up early. Right? If you're behind 14 points or something like that to Texas, I don't see Arkansas being able to climb back in this one. We saw it last week, 2 weeks ago now. Arkansas is coming off of a bye, which is pretty important to remember as well. But we saw against Ole Miss, Arkansas put up 30-something points against that Ole Miss defense, which says something for sure. But early in the football game, Taylor Green goes out at some point, and he comes back in. He's obviously not 100%. They're struggling to extend drives. they can't allow that to happen in this football game if they're going to win. And I don't think it is going to happen. I think that this is kind of at this point, this is the Super Bowl for Arkansas. I mean, this is one of their last big matchups of the season, and I think that they are playing the upset card pretty hard this week. And I think that they could absolutely win this football game. This is a Texas team that really, to me, this is the temperature check for Texas. This is where I'm gonna study who you are as a football team, because outside of the Georgia game, we haven't seen them really play anybody. Michigan is not the team that we thought that they would be going into the season, and now, I mean, I don't know how to measure Texas until after this football game is played. So I do think it's going to be a pretty close game. I've got, like I said, I've got Arkansas covered in this one. I'm probably leaning Texas, but I would not be surprised if Arkansas is able to win this one at home for their fans and for Sam Pittman, who's had a pretty tough go at it this year with his schedule.
No doubt, it's been a tough one. Yeah, so they're begging you to try to take the under in this game, and they've got the number all the way up to 56.5. And by the way, if you're into college football betting, you got to join us on Thursday. We're huge into the college football betting. We keep up with our records all year, all that stuff. We got a show every Thursday. It's called Between the Lines at 7:30 Eastern. We'd love for you to come join us for that, because I'll more than likely have a play on this game if you're interested in this one. But what I was saying was the under of 56.5 is juiced, a little bit. They're wanting you to take that under there. They're trying to add some type of incentive for you to take that under there. I think this one goes over, Mason. I think this is one of those that goes over. I don't think a ton. I don't think it goes over a ton, but 59 is a key number. And I think 59 is one of those numbers in which it could hit in this game. So I'm thinking possibly over in this one, especially if we're considering Arkansas to be able to hang in this game. And I think both of us are in agreement that Arkansas has got the makings to be able to hang in this game. The run game is going to help them a ton. That's imperative. Well, another thing that I thought was just kind of interesting, and I just wanted to mention it before we get out of this video. Texas's offensive line hasn't been near as good as advertised this season. So that's a big point in this football game. I feel like that offensive line, ever since that Georgia game, everybody's kind of looked with a squinted eye at that offensive line. Like, is this group really as good as what we thought they were, or were they just going against Big 12 defensive lines last year? So I think that's an interesting thing to kind of watch in this game. And Texas has been great at turning the ball over, but they've been great at getting interceptions. 14 of their turnovers are through the air this season. We talked about it. Arkansas has been fairly decent at protecting the ball from being intercepted. Their problem has been putting the ball on the ground. And so make of that what you will, but I don't know that the strength of Texas turning the ball over matches up with the weakness of Arkansas there of laying the ball on the ground. Arkansas is looking to get bowl eligible here. There's all the motivation in the world. This is an absolute trap for Texas going on the road here. Give me Arkansas plus 13.5. I don't know that they're able to get the win here. I think that's kind of a long shot, but I think that Arkansas can keep it within a touchdown or 10 points in this one. And I think the over is certainly a possibility, something that I'll be weighing throughout the week. And I would appreciate y'all coming and joining us on Thursday and giving us your insight. Jump in the comment section right now. Let us know. What is your score prediction on this one? Tell us why we're wrong. Love to hear from you. If you're new to the First and Long College Football Show, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button and coming to hanging out with us. We got wall-to-wall Power 4 college football coverage all year long. Your one-stop shop for everything college football. We don't just talk SEC. We don't just talk Big Ten. We talk all of it, okay? And we're here for every single week and all of the awesome matchups that we've got throughout the college football season, right on into the 12-team playoff, which Texas is looking to make their entrance into.